On February 9th, 1971, Satchel Paige becomes the first Negro League star to be selected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York.
But how did Paige get the nickname Satchel? And how old was he when he pitched his final game? Also, which MLB legend helped get Paige and other Negro Leaguers into the Hall of Fame?
Leroy Robert Paige was born in Mobile, Alabama in 1906. As a boy, he earned money carrying passengers' bags at a local train station, earning the nickname Satchel. At age 12, Paige was sentenced to the Alabama Reform School for juvenile Negro lawbreakers for missing school too often and theft. At Reform School, he was coached in the fundamentals of pitching a baseball. He was released a few months before his 18th birthday. After his release, Paige pitched for several semi-pro teams in the Mobile area. He then began pitching for Negro League teams around the U.S. and for Latin American teams during the winter months. In his professional career, he astonishingly pitched an estimated 2,500 games, with 300 shutouts and 55 no-hitters. In 1936, the New York Yankees asked Paige to test a rookie player, Joe DiMaggio. The contest resulted in DiMaggio being promoted to the majors, while demonstrating the underlying unfairness that a player of Paige's skill was barred from that league. DiMaggio later said that Paige was the best and fastest pitcher he'd ever faced. In 1948, a year after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, Paige signed with the Cleveland Indians, becoming baseball's oldest rookie at age 42. He retired in 1953 at age 47, but returned to pitch 3 innings for the Kansas City Athletics in 1965 at age 59, making him the oldest to ever play in the majors. Red Sox legend Ted Williams, in his 1966 Hall of Fame induction speech, in the midst of the Civil Rights Movement, helped bring attention to the injustice that the Negro Leagues greats were not in Cooperstown. He said to the crowd, quote, "I hope that someday the names of Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson in some way can be added as a symbol of the great Negro players that are not here only because they were not given the chance." End quote. In 1971, a committee was established to nominate Negro Leagues players to the Hall of Fame, and on February 9th, Satchel Paige became the committee's first selection. He was officially inducted on August 9th, 1971. In 1982, Satchel Paige died of a heart attack at age 75 at his home in Kansas City. He is buried in the Forest Hill Calvary Cemetery in Kansas City at a spot known as Page Island.
Here are other events that happened today in history.
In 1825, the U.S. House of Representatives elects John Quincy Adams as the U.S. President. In 1950, U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy fuels hysteria by claiming to have a list of 200 known communists. In 1960, the home of 17-year-old Carlotta Walls, one of the Little Rock Nine, is bombed. In 1964, the Beatles appear on The Ed Sullivan Show before a TV audience of 73 million Americans. In 1992, after retiring due to his HIV diagnosis, Magic Johnson returns to play in the NBA All-Star Game. In 2001, a U.S. military submarine collides with a Japanese fishing boat near Hawaii, killing 9 people. In 2021, the second impeachment trial of former U.S. President Donald Trump begins in the U.S. Senate.
And now, it's time for our Today in History quiz.
Who was the Soviet spy who was exchanged for U.S. pilot Francis Gary Powers in 1962? Rudolf Abel, Klaus Fuchs, Alger Hiss, or Walter Kravitsky?
Liked learning about Satchel Paige? Then you'll love this one about the baseball legend that helped him get to the Hall of Fame, Ted Williams. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.